So,
Well, talk
but
about the days leading up to the invasion, and as you prepared, and then the invasion, and take your story from there.
well, uh, you know, after when the you want me to tell about the invasion or
Yeah, yeah,
getting
yeah.
get to it? Well, we got word that the that we were going across the channel, and so we had to take and paint stripes on the planes. You know, we painted the stripes on the wings and on the tail so that we could recognize our aircraft and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
all of them. And so, but that night we stayed up all night long and loaded gliders and everything else. And I think we had 200 of them on the runway
Oh, geez, that must have been a sight.
there. And so, but uh, but anyway, um, I went and in that ruckus, my job was to hook the tow ropes up on the airplane, and so uh, that was my job to do that. And after all the gliders had taken off, why I looked down on my arm and my watch was gone. And so the next day I went back down on the runway and I went and looked and finally found my watch. The only thing was it was just the guts. Well, I got it on my in my souvenirs there. That watch that I found it. But that was the only thing that was left of it because after all them blade gliders and planes running over the top of it,
Yeah.
sort of ruined it just a little bit. So,
Yeah.
so
Well, that must have been a sight to see all those gliders taken off, and
oh yeah,
the,
yeah they were, and so
it was a late night takeoff. It was the night before the actual invasion, correct?
early morning,
Early morning. Okay.
early about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. Of course, I think the paratroopers went in about 4,
Mm-hmm.
and then the gliders went in, and so no, we didn't. I didn't go in across the channel till about 4 days later, something like that. See, you had to wait for the sea bees to take and get off the boat with their caterpillars and everything
Right.
else and
Right.
clear a landing dirt strip for the planes to land on. See, but
Had you guys gotten word back though about how your gliders had done? How
well,
were,
the glider pilots and everything they had maps and stuff of where they had to land and everything like that. But that was another sad thing because the Germans' intelligence was out of this world, and they knew that this was coming and where they was going to land, and they went put up railroad ties,
yeah.
and so they had them all in which called spaghetti fields or asparagus fields.
Mm.
And the only way they could land was they had to go in and in between and shear the wings off. See,
Wow. Jeez.
and so I don't know, the casualty was about 80%.
Oh. Huh.
And they said the G didn't stand for glider, it stand for guts. So anyway,
Wow.
but no, we still had missions. We had seven missions, I think.
After that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, talk about. So you went over to the beach 4 days later. What did you see there? What
Well,
the scene look like at that point?
everything was still pretty well tore up and everything, you know. Of course, flying over the top of it, you could see a lot of debris on the ground and everything else.
Oh, so you flew over?
Oh yeah,
Oh, okay.
They flew us over.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Whenever they got the landing strip done, when they flew us over. So,
So you
but
got a bird's eye view of everything
bird's eye
below.
view of everything down below. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and so we had. Let's see, we was in Le Mans, France. I think that was the first place we landed, and we had set up a tent city. We lived in tents.
How were those conditions as far as?
Well, with dirt floors, you know, it's. And then we had old round. If I remember right, hell, the weather was pretty. It rained almost every day in England.
Hmm.
But it seemed to me like it was really cold because I remember having a little old cold. They had a coal stove for the middle of the thing, and there was 6 of us in this tent, you know, with bunk beds. in there. And so some of the guys thought maybe that they'd warm it up a little bit and heated them too much and burnt the tent down.
Oh, jeez.
So oh, you know, this just a little bit of accidents and stuff. But when we were working on the line, you know, where the aircraft and stuff was, where we was at, they would come down and bring food down in a GI can. So most of the time we had stew. They had cooked stew, and then in the meantime, while we had what was it, K rations. And the worst meal you could ever have was a K ration. The chocolate was so damn hard you couldn't eat it, and all the other stuff. But they had us guarding the aircraft. See, that they had placed there, and so that was real good duty, because we would go up in the plane, and all those planes were filled with C rations. That was really good stuff. And of course, we stole them blind, but we didn't know who did it. So
Yeah, right.
so, but I don't know, their hash and the cheese and the stew and oh God, they had everything in there.
So once you got over to France, were you able to salvage any of the gliders, or were they bringing over fresh gliders for the next missions?
No, we went out in the field, and we had 2 steel mats about 30 feet long that we put in front of the tires on the gliders. Then we went out here about 100 feet and put up 2, looked like 2 cane poles, you know, with a loop on it. And a C-47 come along with a hook on the belly and hit that loop, and the glider went 30 feet this way and 300 feet this way.
Wow.
So it's quite a thrill. So, but we pulled a lot of them out of there, you know, and then we would bring them back over the basin, and so we could clean them up. But when we got to Orleans, we had hangars and everything else. They was all bombed out and everything like that, but we had runways and stuff like that, and they had aircraft scattered all over, like B-24, 17s, and everything else that crashed there. See, so.
Wow. That must have been a sight.
So, but